Hello and welcome to Happening Hazel's how-to instructions for the wool felting kit. We'll get straight into it. Here's what I have for making my own wool felting plushie. I start with the sponge, and that helps with not sort of stabbing your own finger with this kit. In your own household you can use sort of a sponge or a similar thing that looks kind of like that. Next we move on to the felting wool. So in your kit you'll have a black for the eyes and then also a colour for the rest of the body. You'll also have in your kit a needle, whether it will be an individual needle and not one with a handle, but for this video we'll be using the one with the handle because it's much easier to create the plushie. These are needles with a handle that makes the needle felting more efficient, and we've found it makes it quicker to create the plushies. We'll be using this in today's video, and if you want to use one with your own kits, your local craft store should stock them. So have a look through your own instructions. It is best to read through the whole thing and remember to follow each step exactly. I've included photos as well, so you shouldn't really make any mistakes with that. So what you want to do is first get your big piece of felting wool and split it into 6 pieces. Two-thirds of this will be used for the body and 1/3 for the rest. So best split it first by 2/3 and then divide that equally into 3, and then use the remaining 1/3 and divide that equally into 3 parts. The first part we're going to be making the body. So what you want to do is just loosen the pieces of wool with your hands so they make approximately 10 centimeters in width. You may want to do all 3 at the same time. I am doing so just so I know, so that it's all kind of prepped, kind of like cooking in a way. And yes, so they'll all be about the same width. This also helps with knowing that they're all the same width. So once you've spread them out, what you want to do is take one and start rolling it into a ball type shape and then stabbing it into its own little ball. So you sort of take a little bit and stab it in, take a little bit, stab it in, kind of like what I'm doing in this video. It's always good to sort of bunch up one end so you can start, so it kind of makes its own little shape to begin with. And remember to keep stabbing in a vertical angle, not on an angle. You may see myself doing it on an angle, but best not to. It just means that if it is stabbed in on an angle, you're more likely to snap the needle. And your kit only does come with one. Once you've got it in a tight ball shape, similar to what I have it in the video, you want to bring in the next piece of wool that you've flattened out. You then want to wrap the wool around the ball and stab it again into place. So a similar again motion from what we did with the first ball, except it's much easier with the next 2 pieces. Just note, the more you stab, the tighter the ball will get. and it does take time. You've got to be patient with it, but you want it in a nice tight ball shape. Once you're happy with the second piece of wool being around the ball, you take the third piece of wool that you flattened out and do exactly the same. Now, what you need to remember is if you have someone come in and start talking to you, put the needle down. I've had many an error where I've stabbed my own finger, and it's not very nice at all. You may notice my hands going off screen occasionally. That's possibly because I have stabbed my finger. So once the ball is approximately 3 centimeters in diameter, you'll just place the ball to the side and we'll come back to it. We're going to make the leaf's attachment here. We often call it leaf head, just as a nickname. So you want to do a similar thing to what you did earlier. You just want to spread out the wool. Just make it nice and loose so it makes it easier to stab together. So take one of the smaller pieces of wool and ensure it's well loosened. Fold it in half and then tuck one end inward. So this is possibly the trickiest thing, but basically you're just trying to make a long shape. I'll also say that you can create whatever you want with this. Leaf's sort of design is up to you with this leaf attachment, and also with how you make it is sort of up to you. What I've written is a guideline, but it's how I made leaf's attachment. So you just basically want to fold it into an oblong type shape if you want to make one exactly like leaf. You want to make sure one end stays a little fluffy because that's the end we'll be stabbing into leaf's body, just so it attaches properly. And it makes it easier to attach if one end is sort of a little fluffy and not solid like you want the rest of it to be. So just keep stabbing this into your own version of leaf's shape, as shown in the photos, or your own style. And then when you come to the end, you want to just pull out a little bit of the fibers that you've kept loose, and then stab this into the top of the head, and you kind of want to keep molding it while stabbing it in. Because like I said, the more you stab, the tighter it will get. But when you stab it in, it sometimes loses its shape. So in the video, I made kind of more of a bent shape with its leaf head, but that will sort of mold into it through my stabbing it. Next, we want to take the eyes. So you may have too much of the felt wool for the eyes, but I want to give you too much rather than too little. In the video, I'm only using a tiny amount because I want to keep the eyes small in this one. Some of the previous ones I've done, the eyes are quite large. So you want to roll each little black wool piece into a ball shape, and then you can stab them straight into the head, because they'll kind of make their own little tight ball while you're stabbing it in. I've made them a little bit far apart, but I can keep on stabbing them in to mold it so that it doesn't look like he has a nose. This is also where you can keep molding the headpiece, because often it may get a little out of shape while you've been stabbing in the eyes. So next we'll make the feet. With the 2 last pieces of wool, stab each of them into an oval or teardrop shape. I prefer teardrop because it kind of actually looks like feet, but they can be balls or they can be ovals. Remember to keep one end slightly fluffy so that again you can stab it into the bottom, and always test against the leaf creature that you've made, just so that you know the feet are the right, or they're big enough or small enough for what you want. And also try and keep both feet equal. It will probably look a little silly if they're 2 different sizes or 2 different shapes, unless that's what you're going for. Because again, I say, it's up to you how you want to design the leaf head, even the feet. Once you're happy with how they look, you can just stab them straight into the bottom of the leaf's body. How it should stand is that it should stand on its feet, and also the leaf attachment is sort of stand for it as well, so it keeps balanced. And then you'll just do a final tidy up where you can just mold the leaf back into the shape that you want. He may have kind of gone a little skew if through just stabbing in the feet and the leaf head. Just ensure that leaf is in an oval ball type shape and is quite solid. Now hopefully in this whole process you haven't stabbed yourself in the fingers too many times. I mean, the more you do it, the better you get at it, and you will remember not to be distracted while doing it. So this is how leaf should look in its final form. And we also have some other leaf plushies completed earlier, which I'm showing you now. You can see how they have a similar shape, but I really want you to have fun with this leaf, especially with the attachment. There's so many different designs you could have. And hopefully you can collect them all, like as in collect all the different colors that we have and create your own Frolian. I would love to see how yours has turned out, so send me some photos of your plushies or sketches of how you think the Frolians would look. Comment below if you have any suggestions on more leaf plushie designs or need help on your own. And don't forget to subscribe so you can be up to date on all my helpful crafting tips and makerspace tips. Thanks for watching.